review Harvest Moon One World. He's also going to submit a written review to vux.net quite shortly.
I will.
So yeah, I'm really interested to see how you found this game, Mike.
So first of all, if this gets uploaded as a separate segment, which I know it does, please don't make it the review, because people are going to come and they're going to be super disappointed in what I'm about to say. It's not a proper long ass. Yeah, but it's not like it's not.
It's definitely going to be titled. We've already created a thumbnail which says review.
I know that, but it's not thought out. I'm just putting this huge disclaimer. If you're listening to this right now on YouTube, massive disclaimer. This isn't a traditional review that you would hear somewhere else. I'll give it a score at the end and all of that, and I'll talk about it, and hopefully it'll be entertaining enough for you.
Well, that's a review.
Settle up. Yeah, but it's not like a proper, traditional review that people might expect. I just don't want to hear any more of "you're ignorant, you're an idiot," blah blah blah. I get it. I'm an idiot. I'm ignorant.
Can I just say,
there's a lot of shit I don't know.
I'll turn the comments off for this
video.
No.
Keep the comments on. I'm all about transparency. I want to hear people diss me. It's part of growing as a human being.
All right, go on to your review.
All right. So one thing that I will say, however, is I am doing most of the talking, but I am happy for you guys. In fact, I encourage you guys to butt in, ask questions as I talk about stuff. Don't make this a monologue for me. Jump in. So to begin with, I'll give you guys a bit of a quick history of Harvest Moon, because I didn't know this before I started playing the game. I always assumed Harvest Moon was this game that, started back in the SNES days, and it just continued on, and there were multiple iterations of it. I didn't really know the proper history behind it, and then it's not quite as clear-cut as that. So from the best of my ability and the research that I managed to do, it started off in 1996 from a creator called Yasuhiro Wada. So he worked for Victor Interactive Software, which later became Marvelous Inc., and he created this game series called Bakujo Monogatari, and this was basically what was known as Harvest Moon for us. Now, over there, so back in the days when this was created in Japan, they had to localize the series for the rest of the world, in particular, obviously, the US and Europe. And that's where they got the services of a company called Natsume, and they localized it and changed the name to Harvest Moon, which is the name that we're familiar with, in pretty much the rest of the Western nations. Now, after about 16 years, this is where it gets a little bit interesting, Marvelous Inc., who were the actual developers and creators behind the Harvest Moon games, decided to resign their the publishing rights from Natsume and decided to publish it themselves. Well, to publish it through Xseed, which meant that they couldn't use the name because Natsume had the rights to the name in the West for Harvest Moon. So they ended up using the Story of Seasons name, which was basically what the original name was all along to this. So what he ended up is from about 2012, if I'm not mistaken, and Swinny, you the historian in all of this, but from about 2012, you effectively ended up with two separate games, two separate IPs. You had Story of Seasons, which was the true successor to the Harvest Moon games that people grew up with. And then you had the new Harvest Moon series created by Natsume, which were effectively a whole new IP in that sense. I mean, the IP was the same, but it was a whole new development team, totally different to what we knew as Harvest Moon. So was all that correct based on your knowledge, Swinny?
I think you got it
right.
Did
I do my research?
I think the original name is Farm Story in Japanese, not Story Seasons. But other than that,
that's right. Yeah.
I think,
which is I think what Bakujo Monogatari means.
Well, yes. Monogatari story. So yeah, I'm guessing.
There you go. Yes,
cool. It's like the stories series.
Yeah.
So like ranch story, farm story, blah blah story.
Yeah. Now, the reason I gave that little piece of history is because I think a lot of people, I had no idea about that. I just assumed, Harvest Moon, this long-lasting IP, everyone loves it. I was watching some videos where people thought it was Natsume because that was what's even on the box art on some of those games. Marvelous Inc. and certainly not Victor Interactive Software is not really mentioned all that much unless you flip it to the back and you really see it.
As a kid, I'm like, SNES Harvest Moon, it's Natsume. As a kid, that's exactly what I thought it was. Yeah.
which is really fascinating. So the reason I mention that is because that sets the context that the game that I played, which was Harvest Moon, and the one that I'm reviewing at the moment, which is Harvest Moon One World, is made by Natsume. So it's not made by the original developers. It doesn't have that history behind it. It's a new game made by a completely different team than all of the rest of the Harvest Moon games. Sans, I think they did 3 other games, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so
since
it's
the
not
split.
it's not Natsume's first Harvest Moon, but they haven't released as many as there's been Story Seasons games. You know, there's been a lot of Story Seasons games.
That's right. They certainly don't have that history, and I think that sets the context to some of this. So let's talk a bit about the game. So story-wise, you know, the protagonist basically wakes up, has some sort of magic mushrooms, because all of a sudden he sees all these weird harvest sprites. Well, he starts seeing all these harvest sprites that he is literally the only person, he or she, because you can play.
So that's what I was about to say. Were you playing as Ryan or Courtney? Ryan's the dude.
I played as Mike. You could choose your name. I played as Mike.
Okay, so Mike as the dude.
I
was gonna play as the Courtney, but then I thought my partner was going to play the game as well, until I told her how great it was, and then she decided not to play it. Smart. So I thought, let her have, you know, the female character. I picked that. Normally actually, not normally. It's probably about 50-50. Given the choice, it's about 50-50. I will pick the female.
I actually want to...
over the male.
That's interesting. I want to do a special sometime in the future about whether or not we choose male or female.
Yeah, let's do it. I am super
I already know
mixed.
what my answer is.
What's your answer?
Well, do we want to save it? It's not much of a...
No, let's save it because it's also going on a bit of a tangent. So anyway, your character wakes up, has some magic mushrooms. All of a sudden, you can see these fairies, aka harvest sprites, in the game, and they tell him, "Hey, everything's gone to ruin. You know, there's no food, there's no crops, there's no farming. You need to help revive the harvest goddess to get all that back." And then your mom sends you out on a little mini adventure at the start of the game to try to collect some seeds or try to collect food, but all you can find is potatoes because it seems to be the only thing that people eat in this place.
Is this game set in Ireland?
I was thinking exactly that. I'm like, wow, where's this game set? By the way, your dad is completely out of the picture. I have no idea if it's intentional. I had hoped that it comes later in the story, but spoiler alert, your dad just doesn't exist. I think your mother was some sort of a Virgin Mary type character.
Dad doesn't exist.
Well, you have no dad in the whole game. It's weird. Anyway, so next door to you, you've got this doctor who's got this weird little contraption where I thought it was a she at the start, but it turns out it's a he, has this magical contraption called an expando farm. And that basically allows you to turn your farm into what I imagine is like a Pokeball of some sort. And you can take that farm and move it into anywhere else on the world map. Which sounds kind of cool in theory. It also makes no sense, by the way, because this doctor has this weird ability to take your entire farm, animals included, crops, whatever, I don't know, whatever you have, and shrink it down to nothingness, and then you can rebuild somewhere else. They can't get seeds.
This ain't farming simulator. It's not a sim.
It's definitely not a sim. So anyway, you take this expander farm and you go on this journey across the world, if you could call it that. Literally, you could traverse the entire world if the game wasn't so slow in like 2 minutes. It's not much of a world, trust me. So you take this expander farm, you move along, and that's where one of my key annoyances with the game begins. And that is that there's no permanence to any of the stuff that you do. So if you play a game like... I haven't, traditionally played a lot of... Well, I think I've only played one of the previous Harvest Moons. So yes, that might sound ignorant, but I did put a shit ton of hours into Stardew Valley. And I grew up on a farm as a kid, so I think that gives me some sort of credibility.
What were you farming on that farm, just out of interest?
And what country was that?
Well, when I was a kid.
Yeah.
All sorts of things.
Because in the description I said you're farming turnips, but that was a joke. So
no, we didn't farm No. So back in those days.
Wait. Say the
I
name
don't want
of
to
that
give
vegetable.
another
Say the name of that vegetable.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Turnips.
I thought you were going to say turnips or something like that.
No.
It sounded like it.
This ain't
I know how to say turnips, thank you very much. I don't say Sudoku. All right, another
You're
really,
obsessed
really
about
quick
that.
history lesson. So I grew up in Europe, and I grew up a whole bunch of I spent a lot of my time, especially summer holidays, with my grandparents. And back then, things were pretty self-sustaining. Not 100%. You still had, the local grocery for a bunch of things, but they were extremely self-sustaining. So we'd make our own bread. We'd grow all of our own vegetables. We had chickens, cows, sheep, horses, yada yada yada. So a lot of the stuff that we did ourselves. So I learned how to take care of cows, milk them, all of that jazz.
So it was really Harvest Mike, wasn't it?
It was Harvest Mike back then. Absolutely, yeah,
Mike.
yeah. Which is why I really enjoyed games like Stardew Valley, because it brought me back to that feeling of having a farm and growing some vegetables and all of that jazz. So I love those kind of games, or at least I loved Stardew Valley to bits. It's one of my favorite games of all time, probably. But yeah, the problem I have with this, going back to my point, is there's no permanence. You just take your farm, do what you need to do in that particular part of the world to resolve some inane quests that the locals have, and it's always really relatively pretty dumb stuff that if you look at it from anything other than a child's perspective, it makes absolutely no sense what's going on. And look, to be fair, it is kind of maybe a game that is designed for kids. And certainly in a lot of the language that's used in the writing, it's very, very basic stuff. But yeah, so my issue is you don't get that permanence that you get when you play a game like Stardew Valley, where you get a proper farm and you can set stuff up and you plant things and it's always there and you come back to it and you take pride in it and you constantly expand on it and you improve it by getting better sprinklers, putting more crops, allocating a particular section to it, clearing out some of the land to make room for it. It's none of that. In fact, unlike Stardew Valley, you only get set locations where you can even put seeds into the ground, which I think is a huge bummer. There's just no fun or any involvement in that. And speaking of seeds, one of the biggest issues I have with this game is you can buy seeds, but that's not the way you're supposed to do it. And as far as I'm aware from what I've been playing around, the seeds are so expensive that it's just not worth buying a seed. And the only way you can buy a seed is if you sell enough of a particular type of product to the merchant to be able to get the seeds back and purchase them. The way you get the seeds is there's these random harvest sprites scattered around the map. So once a day you can go and at a certain time of the day you can go and pick them up and you get a seed. You're just running around like an idiot, just picking up these random seeds to be able to grow stuff.
What the hell? Like, that's, to me,
it's a really shit mechanic.
Fundamentally, like, I haven't played every single Harvest Moon Story Seasons game, but to me, the whole flow of that game is you can go to the store at any time by often the season that it is will dictate what seeds are available.
You can buy trees, but that's it. You can't.
That sucks. That really sucks.
The only way you can do it, from what I've seen, and I'm pretty sure other reviews will corroborate this, is if you sell enough of a particular thing. But even then, it's not viable to buy the actual seeds to grow them. And it's a really they didn't. I personally don't think they thought the mechanic through properly at all, and it also just ruins the whole farming aspect of it, in my opinion. It also introduces a bit of almost like a random element to it, and it puts in an unnecessary barrier to you wanting to grow particular crops. And what really gets annoying, and I might as well talk about it now, is obviously the game has quests. And a lot of the quests, even the main quests in the game itself, are fetch quests. So you get to an area. I won't mention which one. Not that it's even possible to spoil this game, to be honest. But anyway, you get to an area, and the leader of that area says, "We must throw a feast. Go forth and bring me 3 watermelons." So you're like, okay, fair enough. First of all, that's really shit writing. You want to throw this amazing giant feast, and all you need is 3 watermelons? Whatever.
I don't think we're expecting, novel,
no, but
novel quality writing.
I know that, but it just takes you out of the game so hard when things like that happen. Now, the problem is, I'll give this as an example, actually, since I'm talking about it. The only way to get those watermelon seeds is you got to figure out where exactly you can get watermelon seeds from. lucky enough, the game is friendly enough that you can actually select, if you've already had a watermelon, you can select a little thing where it tells you roughly where on the map you can find another watermelon. It doesn't tell you exactly which location, because you got to go to a specific one of those harvest sprites that, again, only you can see. No one else can for whatever reason. And you get the watermelon. So eventually, after the course of 3 days, I got 3 watermelon seeds. I go to plant them. And one thing the game didn't explain to me properly is I happened to plant them in a region where they mutated to a different type of melon, which this person didn't accept. And I was sitting there going, how the hell do I get my watermelons? I just want plain old watermelons. I don't want these mutated special watermelons. So it's things like that happen a lot in the game. It's just constant fetch 4 of these, 5 of these, 10 of these, whatever the case may be. And it just becomes this really inane, boring collection of fetch quests that made no sense.
All right, we've got to talk about the most important thing of any Harvest Moon game.
Yes.
The Bachelorettes. So
yes. Yeah.
for the video presentation, I've got a special graphic that I just cooked up while you're droning on.
Okay, yep.
I wasn't expecting that.
But yeah, so there are 5 Bachelorettes. There's a DLC one, so I'm assuming
I don't have the
out.
DLC.
Yep.
That's
Okay,
out.
cool.
Yep.
So do you want me to go through them, or do you want to?
So
go
there's
through
5 bachelors and 5 bachelorettes.
Well,
so you guys don't.
Whoa,
there's no point going through them.
I've been
but
very.
yeah.
I've been very.
No, don't assume. Don't assume.
I know.
Maybe way off.
Oh,
Okay,
shit.
so I've got to ask a question.
I've put myself into trouble.
Okay,
The
before
PC police are after me.
I got to ask a question. Can you, if you've chosen the male character?
Honestly, I don't know.
Okay, all
No.
right.
Were you the male character? Yeah.
Yes, I was. Yeah.
Could you romance the male characters?
So I don't want to get into the politics of this or anything.
No,
like
it's not.
that.
I'm just asking. Can you romance the male
I
characters?
believe you can't.
Okay.
I don't know. I
interesting.
didn't try, but
That's not-
I know I read some other stuff
surprised,
online.
Not
that said you
surprising
can't.
for a Japanese
Some people
game.
some people did complain about that, but
Okay. Okay, so I've done the
So
right
narrows
thing.
it down for you.
I knew that
Yeah.
before, by the way.
yeah. Well,
didn't
of
assume.
course you knew that before. You totally did assume.
So we've got the 5 Bachelorettes. Do you want to run through them? And then Swinny and I will try to make character assassinations.
I don't want to run through them
judgments
because
on
I don't
you.
even know who they are. I only cared about one of them.
Okay, well, don't give it away, Swinny
I'm
style.
not gonna give it
don't
away.
give
No,
it
no,
away
no, no,
at
no.
the start, Swinny style.
You need to guess who it is.
So I'll go through them then. So there's Ahina, Gabrielle, Malika, Laura, and Kirsty. Correct, Swinny?
Well, I'm looking at the Wikipedia, and that seems correct to me.
Okay, yep.
So we've got like, do I go through them from visual perspective
Give
for
a
the audio listener?
Yeah, I think you should. I think you should give a visual
Oh
description
my God.
and a very brief description of their personality as well. So
No,
we
can you do it? You play the
assess-
game. I didn't play the game.
But I didn't talk to most of them properly.
Oh, this
How
is
the
tough.
people
man.
Point.
that haven't played it can't describe the personality.
Just describe it. Just describe it. You've got it open. I don't have the page open.
Oh
so just
God.
describe
Okay,
it.
well, let's go back and forth, Swinny. I'll do the first one and then you do the other one.
All right.
So I'll start, 'cause again, the order that I've done it in is Ahina, Gabrielle, Malika, Laura, and then Kirsty. So we'll go in that order, Swinny.
right.
And I'll start with Ahina. So Ahina, she's one of your marriage candidates. She, to me, very short mini skirt, pink top, kind of cutesy star with glasses, nerd cutesy, could imagine a movie about her. She looks not so good. She's got her glasses on. By the end of the movie, makeup, take the glasses off. She's a stunner. That's kind of style that they're going for.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
In terms of personality, what do we see on the wiki? She's a chef in training. She marches to the beat of her own drum. She has a can-do attitude.
I don't
And she
recall
loves
any of the
coffee.
characters having a drum, by the way. But yeah.
And she's from the oceanside village of Halo.
Wow,
So,
okay.
Hello.
all right, so that's me in the first one. You can cover Gabrielle, Swinny.
Okay, so
And
Gabriel.
by the way, we're going to get in so much trouble or potential trouble here. But yeah, let's go.
So Gabrielle is a young
I'm not saying anything.
witch with a distant relative who may just come as a surprise to the player.
She's
according to
not
the
really
wiki.
a witch, but anyways, yeah.
Well, if you didn't talk to her, how would you know?
No, I did. Okay, I actually talked to all of them. I
Okay.
talked to all of them.
So
yeah.
she is a veterinarian who tends to avoid people, prefers to live alone, and is based in the town of Callison with her cat. But despite her cool exterior, she's a very caring person deep down. So she's got a very rocker look. Wearing a cool
Bit of an emo
cool
kid.
hoodie, streak of pink in her blonde hair. Yeah, that's Gabrielle.
Cool.
She was so with Ahina, by the way. I can give a brief description of them from my perspective. Ahina was like the cutesy kind of character, friendly, super friendly. Gabrielle was the complete opposite. She was really just discounted everything you said at the start. Didn't really want to talk to you.
I
all
think
that
you're
kind of
giving
stuff.
it away if you actually talk to
I'm not, because you still don't know who it is.
Mike, let us finish the final three.
Okay,
and then
I won't say anything.
You can give your input on each one as you go through. Okay. So
Yeah.
Malika. So Malika, she's got the kind of beach, hippie kind of vibe going, like,
She's from
very
the desert, by the way.
carefree, from the desert.
Not from the beach, the desert.
It's got like a purple. No, but I'm saying her style, her vibe. She's got the Hawaiian island style. What do they call that flower? Lei on her head. She's got a lei on her head.
She's meant to be Middle Eastern, by the way.
Yeah, she's a lady of color. She loves the water. She loves animals.
She does not
flowers. And playing the lute.
Where are you getting this
Playing the
information?
lute.
She loves the water.
Hey, this is an official.
Yeah, it's in the
There's no
wiki. It's in
water.
the wiki,
There's no
man.
water in the official wiki. I've got it open right here.
No, yes, it is.
And Mike,
Yes, it is.
Mike, she tends to playfully tease the one she loves. So, what are your brief impressions without giving away if you picked her?
I thought she was cool. Pretty sort of normal character.
Yeah.
Nothing weird about her. Nothing. She wasn't arrogant. She wasn't overly crazy sweet or anything like that. The water thing. She loves the water. I don't
loves the
remember
water.
that.
So it says in the wiki. You can't deny the wiki.
Fair enough. Okay.
All right.
Well, all
Swinny,
right, sure.
Laura, you got Laura next.
Okay, so Laura, there's not much in the wiki about Laura except some weird
It's
code.
awesome, actually.
Some weird code in there that's like, is she a robot?
No, it's actually they're missing some of the description, right?
Yeah, it's,
Well, I can tell you a bit about her. That's fine.
so she is a young girl with a memory disorder, which causes her to
Yes.
forget things, and she's from the town of Lubkuchen, and her brother is Tristan.
Lebkuchen.
And
Lebkuchen.
she looks almost like, I don't know, like Swedish or so.
Yeah,
Kind of
yeah.
in a
So
European.
I think
It's
I think they are
kawaii.
going for that Swedish Germanic type of look in that town.
Yeah.
And yeah, absolutely, all the people there are from there. So she suffers from amnesia, so she just forgets you the next day.
So you actually know more about these characters than I thought.
Yeah, no,
Mike.
you know a lot actually.
No,
You
actually,
know a lot.
I let's just say I've spoken at length to most of them. So yes.
And I'll cover the last one.
I
So
don't
the
want to
last
spoil
one
anything,
is
but yeah.
Kirsty. So Kirsty, her vibe, her style is very like snow chic. She looks like New Yorker in winter style.
The redhead.
Redhead. She's the
we need to
redhead.
point out she's the redhead. Yeah,
That's
the only
right.
redhead, I think.
She's the redhead. She likes to
redheads.
teach children in the town, and she is a passion for archaeology. But she's from a cold weather place, and she's very intelligent and logical. So that's the 5
Well,
eligible bachelors, and we want to know
Bachelorettes.
bachelorettes, and we want to
Yeah.
know who you're giving your rose to.
So we're going to take guesses, are we?
Swinny, do you want to first say who would you
Yeah.
pick? Do you want to
Take
just
a
quickly
guess.
say
Ooh,
who
who
you
I'd
would pick?
pick.
oh, you and yourself.
yeah.
Look,
Yep. I'm curious.
I
Let's
mean,
see.
I'm, like, I'm a bit of a metalhead. Gabrielle does kind of,
Okay.
kind of
yeah.
a bit there, but I don't know the.
It's your style.
Maybe the cat thing. I don't know if I can do. It seems like maybe she'll like a cat more than me. So I kind of go between Gabrielle and is it Malika? I think Malika looks
yeah.
pretty cool. Like she's got a cool style. So I don't know. I'm thinking Gabrielle.
Gabrielle. So for me, 100% Malika. Like, no doubt in my mind, straight away from the start. I need someone in my
Wow,
life
okay.
who's like chilled, more like hippie-ish.
Yeah.
I think it's bad if
She's pretty chill.
I think the rest just don't vibe with me. I get what you're saying about Gabrielle, but I think she'll be too into the same type of music as me. Too many metal bands. The same. All right, let's get to mine.
Yeah, you'll have pretty metal.
I
kids.
feel like I know the answer. I feel like I
Okay,
know
what's the answer? Wow. Okay, let's go. What do you guys?
But can we play along? Can we play along and like, guess as if we don't know? I feel like Swinny and I know the answer.
Well,
What do you reckon,
I
Swinny?
don't know.
Do you think you know the answer? I think I know what the answer is.
I think it's got to be. I think he went for Malika. I think it's got to be Malika.
Oh, so I thought I'm almost 100% sure he went for Gabrielle.
Wow. You're both way off.
Okay,
Yeah.
wait, stop.
I have a second choice. I have a second choice.
Now we have 3 left. This is not really part of it, but I'm just thinking on the fly. So now we have
Okay,
Ahina,
yeah.
who's the kind of like cutesy short skirt girl. Laura, she's the kawaii from, Sound of Music style. And then Kirsty is the smart
So
one.
I'm gonna go Kirsty. It's the second.
I was going to say Kirsty as well. I'm going to
Okay.
go Ahina then.
You're going to go Ahina. Wow, okay. So one of you is wrong, one of you is right.
Kirsty's right, yeah?
No.
Oh, I'm right.
It's Ahina.
Whoa!
Now,
He went-
wait. So here's why it's Ahina.
I've got to hold back words on certain
There was a
words.
specific
I know. I'm
reason
like,
why.
Can I just say, maybe trying to re-describe her again? She's kind of like, girls who go to Halloween parties and they want to dress up as like blank firefighter or blank policewoman, if you can imagine what the blank is.
Hey, she's got more personality than that.
Okay, go on.
Like, I may have been attracted by her ridiculously short skirt, yes, but that had nothing to do with the reason why I picked her as my romance option. Thank you very much.
Go on.
Okay, so the real reason why I picked her as my romancing option,
She was close
and this is
to you. Close to your
legit
father.
well,
Well, she's the first one. She's the
that's
alphabetical order.
pretty much it. No. It's because she had by far the easiest favorite food to give her, which is coffee.
So it's low bar.
It was the absolute low bar. So I figured, sit
it's
here?
live gaming imitating life.
Oh man.
So basically what had happened was I sat there and I went, okay, who are the possible bachelorettes? Okay, fair enough. These are it. And I looked through the one quality of life feature that the game does have, which I'll give it a big tick for, is it tells you what their favorite foods are and obviously what they hate. But more importantly, what their favorite foods are. And all the other ones had convoluted foods that I think you had to get the ingredients and then you had to mix them up and you had to create the dishes. All Ahina wanted was coffee. And it's like the easiest thing to make in the whole game. So I'm like, wow, that's a no-brainer. Ahina, it is.
Funny.
So basically what I then did is I went out to the shop. I bought 16 saplings of coffee and I created a coffee farm for the sole purpose. And by the way, the game absolutely crawls to a halt when you have 16 coffee trees, in case you're wondering. It's so unoptimized. It runs at like 4 frames a second or something.
No.
But it was worth it. It was worth it because I created this huge coffee empire just to appease and get into Ahina's. Well, she's not wearing pants, I guess.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
all right. Let's go.
You know what
let's
I
do
mean?
it. Yeah, let's just.
Well, that's the whole point of
Dot, dot,
romancing someone. Because eventually you're supposed to make...
I like
kid,
what a
I guess, I don't know.
stereotype type of a guy
Anyway.
you are. That's the
Well,
whole
no,
point of
I'm not a
romancing someone.
stereotype. But the
That's the
point
only
is,
point.
No, well, in this game, that's the point. Okay, there's more to
I
it
don't
than
think
that.
it actually is.
There's more to
game.
it than that. Well, no, because you do. It's like you move in and then you have kids and stuff. But anyway, I'll get to that part in a bit. So I built this giant coffee empire, and then every day I was basically her coffee drug dealer, where I would just pump her full of caffeine. Gave her multiple coffees a day, like 4 or 5 coffees a day. I'll just keep selecting the coffee. Here's a coffee. Here's a coffee. Here's a coffee. You don't actually have to do that, by the way. I think you can only give 1 gift a day to get the heart stuff moving. And like in a typical fashion in this game, after a few coffees, she, started liking me a bit. And then a few more coffees, she liked me a bit more. And the next thing I know, she was full on into me. So I got her to five hearts. And then I went, okay, well, what's next? Oh, you need a bigger house. Of course, you got to get a bigger house. So in order to get a bigger house, you got to do a bunch of stuff, upgrade your tools, do all of this, get these materials, spend 75,000 schmeckaroos, gold coins, whatever they use in the game. So I spent a bit of time. I don't know how long it took, but it took quite a bit of time to get to 75,000. It's not, because of the way the game works and because you have to randomly get those seeds, it's not like Stardew Valley where you can buy a really good seed and then grow it, get the profits, buy some other really good seeds, and keep repeating. Well, I had tens of millions in Stardew Valley, I think, by the end of the game when I just gave up because I did everything in that game at the time. Whereas in this, it's kind of random. You just have to find all these seeds and try to make money somehow, and it's difficult. But eventually, I got enough to upgrade that house, And it turns out that's not enough because you need to buy an even bigger house.
They always want more.
for
They always
Ahina.
want
They
more.
always want more.
They always want more. They always want the bigger house. They want the Mercedes parked at the front. She wasn't happy with the single bed, that. And
Are you going
I
to
had
be
a
happy
couch
with
as
single
well.
bed?
Yeah, well, there was a couch in the house as well. I was happy to take the couch. I didn't see a problem with it, but apparently that's a problem.
But how
you can't
are
do
you
that.
going to get a baby harvest mic if you're sleeping on the couch?
Exactly.
Well, we would have used the couch or the bed. I don't know. Does it matter? One of the two.
I don't want to sit on your couches anymore.
Point is, it would cost 350,000 coins
Sheesh.
to get the house upgraded. And I went, man, that's like hours and hours and hours. And what are you going to get out of it? A lifetime of a kid whining and Ahina being unhappy because I gave up on my dream of becoming the world's biggest coffee distributor or something, and I just wanted to become an unemployed writer or something.
So you
anyway,
you gave up and you stayed as a bachelor.
gave up.
Is there
I stayed as a
is there
bachelor.
like a harvest
we
Tinder or something?
Well, no, her and I still, meet up on the side. She's still into me. I still provide her the daily 5 or 6 coffees. So, yeah, it was a cool romance while it lasted.
So wrapping up the review, what would you give this game out of 10?
Hang on, there's a couple of other really quick things I need to talk about. One, which is the animals. So the way you get animals is obviously you can go buy them, but you can also find animals in the wild. So at the very start of the game, the first animal I had was a brown bear, which I call Barry the bear. And then I had a cow, which was Cowie the cow, and they coexisted happily in my barn for some reason, even though Barry tended to eat a lot of Cowie's
Wait, was
feed.
it Barry, not Barry?
No, Barry the bear.
Okay, I was about to say, because you had Cowie the cow.
So I had that. I had Harry the hare. So I befriended a hare eventually after a few weeks and stuff, and Harry was my pet inside the house.
Wait, is that Harry or Harry?
Harry. Harry.
Okay. I'm getting some inconsistency.
Yeah, I know, it's so
No, it's just the way
it's
the way I pronounce the words. It's Barry and Harry, and then I got Harold the horse, and by the end of the problem was it's really expensive to feed these animals, and I know that happens in real life. I'm sure.
So you're Tiger Kingdom.
Well, pretty much. I had to just get rid of some of them. In fact, I got rid of all of them.
Kingdom.
I did. I had to get rid of. I just couldn't afford to. You can't afford to actually feed these animals. You can't. So the only one that was left was Harold the horse because he had a practical use of being able to take me across the map a little quicker. Although you can fast travel once you've actually completed a particular part of the world. So that kind of sucked because I wanted to have the animals and feed them and stuff, but it just became too cost prohibitive, so I had to get rid of them, which was a bit disappointing. So we talked about performance is pretty shocking given that there's not a lot happening on the actual screen. And when I ended up with those 16 coffee trees for Ahina, it was shockingly bad, and there's this constant stutter with sound. It's really surprising how bad it actually runs, given that there's not a lot happening on the screen.
Very quick question on that: can you change the camera at all, or is it a fixed camera?
No, you can. Okay. So you can either you can zoom in and out. Zooming out actually also drops the performance significantly. I found
this game does not look.
It's the most unoptimized game I've ever played.
This game looks pretty bland and generic. So I'm surprised that it runs like crap.
Exactly.
To be fair, I'm not defending them, but sim games are actually deceptively hard to optimize well.
Yeah, but there's nothing actively really needing that much simulation throughout the day. And it's not even like, how do I explain it? So in Stardew Valley, characters feel like they've got their own life, and at any one point in time, based on whatever schedule they have, they will be at a certain place and they'll walk around and they'll go to sleep and they'll go to the park and they'll go do this. In this game, they literally appear and disappear in front of you.
Oh, wow.
So at 3 p.m., if at 3 p.m. they're supposed to appear in a particular spot, they just appear in that spot right in front of you. If you have to give them something, like if you got to hand in one of their stupid quests, and you're there at 3:01, and you're about to press the A button, to interact with them, they're gone. They just disappear in front of you. It's really, really, really bad. Like, it's ridiculously bad what they've done with this game. And here's my biggest gripe with it overall. You can get something like Stardew Valley for 17 Australian dollars. This game is 70 Australian dollars. It's over 4 times the price.
70?
Yeah.
7-0.
It's a 7-0 game. It's a $70 game, and it literally is worse than a lot of mobile games that I've seen. And it is way, 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 way worse than something like Stardew Valley that's a quarter of the price and probably has 4 times the features. So in light of all of that, you know, I give this at the moment, and I'm still writing the official review, but at the moment it's sitting at about a 5, if that.
5 out of 10.
I think that's generous, it sounds
Not
like.
5 out of 5?
No, I feel like it might even be less. No, it's 5 out of 10 at best.
It's interesting. It's a full price game in Australia, but it's
game.
$50 US in the States. I just checked GameStop.
Which is $70 Australian, give or take, isn't it?
No, but like Switch games don't really go much more than $70 in Australia. It feels like it's a full price game in Australia, but it's a slightly discounted, but still not very discounted game in the States.
It's way overpriced.
So from
way
a
overpriced.
Vook's perspective, that would be 2.5 out of 5.
It might end up being a 2, to be honest. I'll have a think about it, and I've taken a whole bunch of notes, and I feel like I've done the game justice. So I wanted to play it properly. I wanted to go through the full season. I wanted to, well, thanks to Swinny pushing me towards it, really try to romance someone properly, so you can experience that. I've done all the different side quests. I've revived that Harvest Goddess. So I've gone through the story. The full storyline. I've done the mining. I've talked to every character. I've done literally, I think, everything you kind of do other than grinding unnecessarily for useless things at the end. And so I feel like I've really played the game properly. So, yeah, we'll stay tuned for the full thing. But from our perspective, at the moment, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10.
Okay. Good review, Mike. It was quite funny, especially the Bachelorette segment.
Well, that's thanks to you guys. As well,
very surprising result. I did not. She would have been like, definitely third or fourth.
I don't think she would have been. She wouldn't have probably been my primary one if it wasn't for the fact that she liked coffee.
Easy.
And it
just
was
like real life. I love it.
Is this most reliable way to romance someone?
Oh my god. All right. Well, let's wrap up the show. So as always,